Hey everyone, Ashley Mailloux here. I've done my homework. I've looked at a lot of pick threes this weekend, coast to coast, and I wanted to focus in on one this Saturday at Saratoga. It's Whitney Day. They have a beautiful card assembled, a lot of grade one action, and that's what we're going to focus in on. Races 9, 10, and 11. That sequence in particular, all grade ones. It kicks off with race number 9, the grade one Saratoga Derby Invitational. And as we take a look at this field here, 1.3 miles on the turf for the 3-year-olds. And I think the starting point obviously would be the morning line favorite, the number 7, Hot as Hell, who has an impressive resume, 4 for 8 in the career, has participated in Group 1 action, has a win late last year, and then to kind of kick off the 3-year-old campaign, had a third at the Curragh behind Field of Gold. I thought it was a very, very nice effort. And then more recently, disappointed a little bit, but again, with such a huge price in there. So is it really a disappointment when you're facing olders? Probably not, but now has to come stateside. And my concern always is going to be the ground. And looking at the weather forecast, I know that there's rain expected on Thursday. A lot of time for the turf to dry out, and I wonder if the firmness is going to be a little bit to the disadvantage of Hot as Hell. And I think at a short price, I have to look elsewhere. And for me, the number 5 Test Score, I've been an extreme fan of since the day one, when this one was the runner-up behind Governor Sam. And I always felt like as we watched some of these races, he needed more ground. And we saw that last time out locally at Saratoga, going 1 mile and an eighth, the grade one Belmont Invitational Derby and Derby Invitational, excuse me, just ran such a good race, ended up being much the best, beat several that are entered in this spot again. And it makes me wonder now at 1.3 does he just get that perfect trip? He's tactical enough. I think that's going to be the case. He's 7-2 on the morning line, and I think I need a coverage elsewhere. And just, really liking what I've seen from him so far, he's going to be a single for me. We'll move to race number 10, the second leg of the sequence, the 3-year-old fillies in the spotlight and the grade 1 test, going 7/8 on the main track. And this is a very tough race. As I go through the field, honestly, can pretty much make a case for anyone in here. I would say probably 7 of the 8 runners. I could see something that might suggest they could perform very big come Saturday. And kind of looking at this starting again with the favorite, the 6 Echo Sound. Don't want to knock her at all. It's hard to do so when you're 5 for 6. You come in this race off a 101 Beyer speed figure, but I don't want to read too much into that figure. Obviously, they went really quick at the 6.5 furlong distance. You look at how the race sort of shaped up. It certainly played in the favor of Echo Sound, even though she went fast. It's a compact field. That always makes me a little bit leery of those numbers. And then prior to that, raced very well at Pimlico in her first start as a 3-year-old filly, and I thought that performance was probably the one that I liked a little bit more. Had a bigger field, had to work out a little bit of a trip, but still things that I think maybe could get her beat in the spot. And I just thought the other fillies in here are extremely talented, maybe a little underrated. The case of the number 1 Ragtime for Belmont, undefeated from 2 starts. Both of those starts have been at Saratoga. Really liked the win last time out. I thought she did it very nicely. It looked quite easy. This one for Godolphin made a 10-point jump as well. Have to use her in here. I think the 3 Look Forward, she pretty much does everything that's asked of her, whether that's sprint, whether that's go around 2 turns, and don't want to discredit her in the Acorn. Again, though, off track, you look at the dynamics going 1 mile and an eighth, and Lucara got the race kind of handed to her. She can be really tough on the front end, and she's extremely talented, and I think the track just played into that sort of running style for her. And that's why she was able to, defeat some nice horses in there, including Good Cheer, and Bless the Broken, horses that took a little bit more play than Lucara. But loved the way Look Forward raced. I think she's better sprinting. I know her figure suggests maybe otherwise last time out, but I thought her performance in the 8 bells was huge. She looked very comfortable, especially considering she's had to ship for these races. Look at her races. She doesn't run at the same track, right? So I like her getting another start here at Saratoga. I think she's going to offer some good value, has a nice work coming into this. And then finally for me, the 8 Beauty Reigns, a horse that was second best behind Echo Sound last time out, but I don't think the race flow helped her. I thought her performance in the Jersey Girl was quite good. She just came up short in there, and probably, according to the betting public, she should have won it, but I still think she ran her race. And I think if she can get a trip slightly closer to it, she could be an interesting horse in here. She's another one for Belmont, who has sort of the bookends here, that being the 1 and the 8. We will move to the third leg of the sequence, the feature on the Saturday card at Saratoga, the grade 1 Whitney Million, 1 mile and an eighth for the older horses on the main track. And We'll start with the one mind frame just based on the fact that this is a horse that is potentially expected to scratch out of here. And I think if that's the case, you have to look to the stablemate then. But mind frame has been very impressive, whether that's been at 7/8 this year or a 1.125 miles. If he's in this spot, I think you have to use him, in my opinion. But with that in mind and the idea that he's expected to scratch, and Pletcher being quoted saying that this guy is kind of the backup in here, we'll move to his stablemate, the 9 Fierceness, 9-5 on the morning line. Another one who's been very, very impressive. And I know he's had a couple of performances that have been head scratchers, but they are far and few between. They never really came up with that excuse for the Champagne. The Derby is the Derby, but since then, he has been tough as nails. He's very tactical. He can get a good trip where he's likely less than 2 lengths off of it. And just looking at him, I'm excited to see him stretch back out in distance. I don't think necessarily a mile suits him. Raging Torrent was able to beat him last time out. But I still think he fought. He ran a very good race, and I think he's going to be better at a 1.1 miles. So you have to use Fierceness. And then from here, looking at some others, Highland Falls, Sierra Leone, and White Abarrio are the ones that I went to next. Concern with Sierra Leone right off the bat for me is just that record. I don't feel like he loves to win, and don't get me wrong, he's the Breeders' Cup Classic winner last year, but New Orleans Classic, people were pretty hard on his performance. I somewhat get it, I somewhat don't. Obviously, he had some setbacks, not necessarily their original target for his return. That's where he ended up. And then the Stephen Foster, he ran his race. He did what he did. He can be sort of, tough when he leaves the gate because he doesn't break the sharpest. I'm concerned at 2-1 if I would take him at such a short price. That's a tough sell for me. I prefer him kind of going 1.25 miles, and obviously that might be the chance for him later this year, but I just can't take him at 2-1. So that left me with Highland Falls and the 7 White Abarrio. And starting with Highland Falls, he's always been sort of underrated. I thought his return to the races was a great starting point. Loved the way he did it. He won like he should have. You go to the Breeders' Cup Classic, he didn't run at all in there. But prior to that, he got the Grade 1 event under his belt. It came locally at Saratoga in his only start over the surface. I loved the trip for him. I think he's probably best being somewhat forward. Maybe 2 or 3 lengths off of it when I look at his running style. I think that trip could work out for him really well here. And again, when you're looking in terms of prices, he could offer value in here, and I think he's very sneaky. He rarely misses in his races based on his record. And then I mentioned it, White Abarrio, another one. I've always been a fan of him. He shows up. He's made $7 million. We know he's won the Classic. He won the Whitney 2 years back. I wonder a little bit about his recent form. He didn't fire at all last time out at Saratoga. Maybe it was just the track. He had some time off. Tough for me to say, but I thought his Pegasus World Cup obviously was spectacular. He beat Lott, who we know went on to do things. His stablemate Skippy Longstocking. And then they put him in a Grade 3 2 months later. But got to be honest, don't love his last out. I'll give him an excuse, though, for an off track. And we'll see what version of White Abarrio shows up. At his best, he could certainly be competitive here in the Whitney, but if he doesn't fire a race, obviously he could be in trouble in this spot. So it'll be very interesting to see who stays in the Whitney. That could obviously factor a little bit into this ticket as we take a look at my ticket. The key comes in race 1. We need to get Test Score home here. As I said, I really think this distance is going to be key for him, and just knowing the operation and how they get their horses ready, he should take a step forward from his performance last time out. I do spread in the test using the 1, 3, and the 8. Probably would prefer Look Forward over all of them. If not, the Rail Runner would be kind of my top 2, but also wanted to use the 8 in there, Beauty Reigns. And then the Whitney needed coverage. Have to see if Mind Frame actually scratches, but that seems to be the discussion. So Fierceness would obviously be a must-use, and then I will use the 3 Highland Falls and the 7 White Abarrio. So with the $1 minimum, very affordable, $9 ticket. You can shape it whichever way you want if you're wagering this Saturday at Saratoga. Best of luck and enjoy the races.